Hello everyone, Joe here from Snake Draft FPL and welcome to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. If you're interested in Draft FPL tips and content, then subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss anything from us, as the videos and podcasts will be coming thick and fast with a busy Christmas schedule. Looking forward to Gameweek21, we've picked out a couple of players in each position with good fixtures that you could realistically pick up in your draft league. If you find this useful, please like the video as it really helps us grow the channel. Also, a quick shout out to the Draft Society who've been kind enough to host this series on their website, so if you haven't heard from them, check them out, there's a link down below. Okay, on to Gameweek21, and as I said last week in my previous video, postponements are coming thick and fast, and you really do have to wait till the last minute to not get stung, and sometimes even that doesn't help because they get postponed after the deadline. So just keep your eyes peeled and keep an eye on sort of where the COVID cases are coming from, and you can kind of get a feel for what games are more likely to be postponed than others. I've tried to stick to games that I think are more likely to happen, but if there is a worry about them, I will mention it in the player pick as I say it. But yeah, hopefully these games happen, and hopefully we're over the worst of the postponements, but we'll see. Before I get into the picks, there is one thing actually that I need to say. I'm actually recording this after I've done all the picks because I forgot to mention it. There's a pretty big chance Gameweek21 will actually be a double game week. The problem we've got is they may well announce the fixtures after the deadline, which means it's quite tricky to plan for it. So I've just done the picks at face value for now. But if there are any double game week announcements before the deadline, I'll put a pinned comment on the video about that, because it's 2 weeks from Game Week 21 to Game Week 22. It looks like a lot of the potential doubles would go in the midweek of the week after Game Week 21. So sort of 10 days after the deadline. So we could be in for a pretty long game week. So yeah, I've not included any of the potential double game weeks in this video because I just don't know when they'll happen, and we may not know until after the deadline or until very close to it at least. So I've just done the picks at base value, and we'll go from there. Okay, first pick this week, we start with goalkeepers as always. And I'm going to go for Jordan Pickford of Everton. They've got Brighton at home this week, which I think is a pretty good fixture. I can see this being quite a tight game, reasonably low scoring. Everton haven't been that great defensively this season. In fact, well, they've been rather poor, to be honest, but they have been sort of starting to improve. Their numbers are on the increase. So I feel like this is the kind of game where they could get their first clean sheet in a few weeks, and Pickford may well have been dropped in quite a few leagues due to their defensive performances so far. So I think he's a decent pick off the waivers this week. Okay, second goalkeeper pick is going to be Meslier of Leeds. They've got Burnley at home, which is an absolutely great fixture for a keeper. Leeds' defence has been really bad so far this season, which doesn't sound great when you're picking up the keeper, but actually Meslier has been scoring pretty well despite that. He's been making so many saves that it doesn't really matter if he keeps the clean sheet or not. And I think this is the kind of fixture where they actually could keep a clean sheet. So he could be in for an absolute haul if they do manage it. This fixture should go ahead. Burnley do have some COVID cases, and so do Leeds. So it's one of the riskier ones, but I think this probably will go ahead now, mainly because both sides are starting to get some of their players and staff back from COVID. So hopefully this one will still go ahead. And if it does, I think Meslier is probably the best defensive pick in the fixture. On to defenders, and my first pick is Konsa of Villa. If you've been watching a lot of these waiver videos, you know I like the Villa defence. I think they're pretty underappreciated this season. And Brentford away is a great fixture. Tyrone Mings is actually suspended for this game, so you could look to the other centre-back spot if Konsa, Cash and Target are all picked in your league. I suspect it will probably be Courtney House, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So it is a bit of a risk. So yeah, Konsa's the one I'd go for. Villa have been playing well, defensively good. Brentford have a mountain of injuries, a lot of key players. And Burmo looks like he's going to be out. Jan out looks like he's going to be out. These are some key men for Brentford. So I do like the Villa defence in this fixture. And Brentford haven't exactly been free scoring anyway. So yeah, I think it's a good week for Villa. Second defensive pick from me this week, and I am double dipping in the Everton defence. And that's going to be Ben Godfrey. Brighton at home is, as I said earlier, I think it'll be a tight game. It's a decent fixture for them. And I just like Godfrey as a player, to be honest. He's decent on bonus as well. He's not bad going forward. He's good in the air. He's got quite a few avenues of points. So yeah, I think Ben Godfrey, good pick. And he'd probably be my pick of the Everton defence if you're not going for Jordan Pickford. Final defensive pick from me this week is actually going to be Amartey of Leicester. I must admit, at half-time of the City game, I did not think that in a game and a half's time I'd be tipping a Leicester defender. But since that half-time break, they actually improved quite massively. They still conceded 2 set pieces in the second half of that game. And subsequently have played Liverpool, but they actually look much better in that fixture. And I think the tweak in the system at halftime actually made a big difference. They've got a load of defensive injuries, as we know. That's the reason why Amartey's starting alongside Ndidi at centre-back. But Norwich at home's a good fixture. Norwich are absolutely terrible. They've got a lot of their key players out. And I just don't see how they're going to really score any goals, even against a makeshift defence. So I really fancy Leicester in this game. And if you can find any of the starters, I think, you're kind of in for a winner this week, whether it's Amartey, Luke Thomas or Castagna. I think they're all good picks. On to midfielders then. First pick, I'm going straight back into that Leicester game with Ademola Lookman. Norwich at home, as I said, it's a fantastic fixture. Lookman looked really good when he came on against Liverpool. And he scored the goal. And I suspect he'll start again, to be honest. I think he'll get straight back in the lineup. He kind of gives Leicester a bit of a different dimension. They don't generally play with that sort of pacey attacking winger that likes to dribble. And I think when he's on the pitch, he does make a big difference to how they play. So I could see him getting rewarded for his goal with a starting place against Norwich. And there's no better fixture at the moment. Second midfield pick this week. It's actually a transfer that kind of went under the radar in the summer. For me, definitely. That's Will Hughes of Crystal Palace. West Ham at home this week. I think this is going to be quite a good game, to be honest. I can see goals in this. I think both teams are better going forward than they are defensively. Gallagher's almost certainly going to be out with COVID. There is a small chance he could be back, but I really don't see it happening, which means Will Hughes will be playing in his attacking number 8 role from midfield, making those late runs into the box. So I think he's a good pick for this week specifically, and potentially going forward if he can keep a place in the side. So yeah, I think it'll be an open game. I think Will Hughes is the kind of player that's quite well suited to the role he's being asked to play. So yeah, I think he's definitely a good short-term pick. Final midfield pick from me this week is going to be Stuart Armstrong of Southampton. Newcastle at home is a fixture. This one is a doubt, a COVID doubt. Newcastle did get their previous game called off due to their injuries and COVID. To be honest, I think actually it's sort of more injuries than COVID for them, which I don't really think they should be getting their games cancelled or postponed just because of injuries. They do have a small COVID outbreak as well. But if that gets contained in time for the weekend, then this is a great fixture. I think Saints look a much better side when Armstrong's playing. He's finally looks like he's got over the injury that he's been carrying basically all season. So yeah, it's a good fixture. He plays in an attacking role for Saints, and they look a better team when he's in the side. So I think it's a good sort of short-term and mid-term pick, Stuart Armstrong this week. On to forwards then. And the first pick from me this week will be no surprise to anyone, I don't think, if he's free. And that's Edouard. A goal and 2 assists against Norwich last week was a great performance. He's been kind of in and out the side, but he looks like he's actually sort of stamped his mark on the team now and should take the place of Benteke going forward. Palace have been pretty good going forward, as I said, and I think this West Ham game will be open. I think there'll be goals at either end, and Edouard is probably the most likely attacking player that you would want that's going to be free, alongside Will Hughes, as I said earlier. There's other options you could take a punt on in the Palace side, but I'm not convinced any or all of them are going to start. So the guy I'd back is Edouard if he is free in your league. Final pick for me this week is someone I think I picked on the previous waiver video. His game subsequently got cancelled, and that is JRod, James Rodriguez of Burnley. Leeds away, looks like a good fixture. As I said earlier, Leeds' defence is not very good, despite Meslier's heroics. And JRod specifically has been playing pretty well lately. Wood's out of form. Cornet may still be injured. He may be back. He may feature off the bench. But I think JRod will probably start. He looks like the liveliest of all the options that Burnley have at the moment. And and Cornet's off to AFCON as well after this week. So, even in the mid to long term, I think he'll play pretty consistently. And I think Burnley aren't a great attacking side, but they do score some goals. And JRod, I think, will be involved especially if Wood can't get his form back. So, yeah, JRod, I think, is a pretty good pick. A bit of a punt, but then forwards in draft FPL kind of always are off the waivers unless you get a gem. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad option, and I think it's a good fixture for them this week as long as it goes ahead. Okay, that's all my picks for Gameweek 21. As I said at the start, keep your eyes peeled because any or all of these, well, probably not all, but any of these games could be cancelled at the last minute. So keep watch of that. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. We have got the podcast being recorded straight after I record this. So that should be live on Thursday evening, UK time. And also a video that's going to be coming out of the weekend about AFCON, and that will be who is going to AFCON, who will be replacing them in the team, and sort of how long they should be out for. So definitely hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss that, and we will see you next week.